Hello everyone, my name is Mike Dietrich and I'm a Plutus and Prism pioneer, a musician, a teacher and a cultural scientist. And I have started this edutainment at the start of this year. Edutainment, that is an international collective that is dedicated to creating tools and game-based learning applications for the Cardano ecosystem. And we got funded in Catalyst Fund 6 for the concept phase of our first project. And that is, by the way, that is our website here, just edutainment.com, our language learning game. We're building a play to learn and earn game for language learning. And our game is an MMO. That means that it can support hundreds of thousands of people playing together in real time. And we start with 14 languages that we think are especially important to Cardano. And these are English, Standard Chinese, Standard Arabic, French, Spanish, Russian, Indonesian, German, Hindi, Portuguese, Swahili, Amharic, Oromo, and Japanese. Each language has its own world that is built and inhabited by the community. And each world is really governed by a DAO. And this DAO is formed out of first language speakers and high-level players. These moderate and regulate the world and ensure that there's quality content and good stuff happens. Game-based learning, that's what we are all about. Because we believe that digital games are actually ideal learning environments. Because good games are designed for active learning. Nothing works without you, really. In a movie, it just continues if you do not press actively stop. Yeah, everything is only there for you to create your own story in the game. You can navigate in a clearly structured world and you can follow your own path and interest. You can set your own pace and repeat anything as often as you want without having to face possibly life-inhibiting consequences if you fail. In games, you can also explore different possibilities and outcomes and experiment in a safe and guided space, which is often really impossible in the real life. And good games are, most importantly, extremely good at creating intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the most crucial factor for prolonged and self-directed deep learning. If you gamify something, then you just promote extrinsic motivation, so you get a reward for something. And intrinsic motivation is you really say, I want to keep playing this because I think this is fun and not because I get something for it. And of course, games are also feedback loops, so you always get immediate feedback on your actions. Our game is designed to share the learning experience in a social and inclusive ecosystem across cultural and national boundaries. You can practice, meet, or play together with your friends and strangers. You can always find someone to practice and learn together regardless of your location. And your avatar is your anonymous extension to the game, so you do not need to fear talking with anyone if you are not really skilled at the language yet. And you also do not need to pay a tandem. Instead, you get paid value. We are free to play, but play to earn. And meaningful participation or contribution to the game earns you the in-game currency, which is our native token. And all the revenue streams, they get exchanged to ADA and put into a treasury. And that generates value for the native token because the tokens you get represent your share of this treasury. So yeah, when you play, you actually earn something of the revenue stream of the platform. And we have several versions of virtual land and NFTs, of course, but virtual land is more interesting, I think, because we actually give out some land for free. Reputable DAO members get assigned a plot of land for free and that they can build upon or rent out. Some public land also gets auctioned off in regular intervals for a set period of time to prevent monopolies. We also use Atala Prism to use verified credentials and issue them to your DIT, so you can actually prove that you've learned something and your reputation outside the game as well. And community is really, as we said, at the core of the project. All content and the value is created by the community. It's also managed collectively. So each world needs to form their own language team, and that is happening right now, that is responsible for the content creation. These get rewarded in a fair share of the initial token supply. Edutainment is only building tools and support structures like intuitive editors, guidelines, and best practices to enable and empower as many users as possible. You can choose what you want to become. Become an architect or translator or administrator, teacher or an author. There's always a way with you that you could contribute. This is our team for a quick glance. So we have some experts for different stuff. These are all our proposals that we have in the next fund because there are some different paths. Okay, I think that's it.
Hello. Yeah, I really like the concept. I think it's really, really nice. I wish you best of luck. I will have some questions. I hope will not demotivate you or not demotivate you, but
Not at all.
so I will start. So you said you got funded in Fund 6, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. How did you use that funds, and what exactly are you going to use these funds for?
So yeah, it's all for our concept phase basically, and we started to gathering a team, and now we are these 6 people. Yeah, and they all need some money or want some money. We just got enough funding to give them like a minimum wage, so they do not have to worry about their regular costs like basic cost of living. And at this point, we really did lots of visual identity and branding work, and just chopping it right at the roadmap and making it all more clearer and concise, because it's yeah, otherwise it's just a real mess. It's quite a big project, so we really want to make sure that we do not waste too much time on anything. And this funding runs until the end of February. At this point, we hope to have a prototype that we can show, or that we can at least show videos of the prototype, and have gathered the language founding teams for the different languages and have been working with them to create the language concept. Because you cannot just create one language concept and it fits all languages. So you really have to get in a communication with other people that, yeah, from other languages. And also research into the Proton graph. That is one of our key components. It's an open source tool for procedural modeling. We've also been upgrading this to the current version of Godot.
And do you know if this will gonna be on mobile or desktop? And one last question, is this only for learning languages or learning everything? So can it be also for kids, for instance, or?
We try to go for desktop first because you just have the best ways of interacting. But it's also one of my priorities to make this for mobile as well. So because there are just heaps of people that do not have a laptop in the world, and we want to target exactly these people as well. So we need to be mobile. Yeah. And for what you can learn, actually it started out as a general learning platform, but for now we just say, okay, let's first get this done with 14 languages, and then we can expand to other languages, because yeah, but for different subjects, totally we are open for that, and that this is part of the longer term vision, that you have different worlds for different subjects as well, but then you need another way of interacting with the game and different mechanics. And these also differ greatly between languages, so I think that should be doable in the future as well. We also wanted to have just a blockchain world to get some basic concept of blockchain, but maybe we will include these in the general language worlds as well. Like you have some little hut somewhere, and that's the blockchain hut, and once you enter, you're in the blockchain world, and you have to learn blockchain stuff in your language.
Okay, pretty cool. Thanks.
Tarek.
Yeah, Mike, good luck with this idea. And I want to know what is the structure of the game. Yeah? What is you have what is the type of the games there? Different genre, action, strategy.
It's okay. It's a sandbox MMO. That's the technical term. Sandbox games are games where community is creating the content, and yeah, you have. So we are actually not creating content. Yeah. I just have to underline this always because
just like Roblox, yeah.
Yeah, a bit like Roblox, but. Oh, it actually, I did not know about Roblox before I started this, but then I thought, okay, there's Roblox already, and they're doing lots of the stuff that we want. But I think we're doing it better because we're doing it even more decentralized and open source, and we go for procedural modeling as well, which is quite fascinating if you can just create stuff and it's not always the same.
And you will have there building tools for content building tools. You will create that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Proton graph. That's the open source tool that we already have, and it's at the moment it's on the old version of Godot, and Godot is the biggest open source game engine. They had a major rework in this year for a new graphic rendering engine, They changed from OpenGL to Vulkan, and so yeah, we are at this moment we are also updating this. But you're right, we really need intuitive editors and guidelines and best practices, and that's what we want to do. Make it really nice and streamlined that everybody can really create content and not just people that have studied game design.
Perfect.
What are your plans to attract content developers?
So it's good if you want to create content because it's valuable for you. This all comes down to the tokenomics. The tokens have inherent value because they get the value of the ecosystem. If you make nice levels and the people love your levels and you get a high rating, we also have a rating system in there. You get better rewards for that. And so that's basically it. And also, I think there are lots of people that really want to teach something and they do not have the platform to do it in an easy way.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, Mike, that you are intending to start with 14 languages. Why do you want to start with 4 and not just 2 or 3, just to start small and scale when you prove that it's working?
Because we want to be as inclusive as possible and not just teach English, French, Spanish, and German. So we started with the most widely spoken languages, and then we chose some very important ones like Amharic and Oromo and Japanese.
And do you have partnerships in order to take care about the translation, or what would you help beyond the funding most at the current point of time?
So we are at this moment reaching out to different language communities, and each language has their own team, their own community, and they can connect with each other. And I think that is the biggest part that we need in the next time, and because without the language teams, we can't do this.
Then I have one regarding the roadmap. So if I got you right, the proof of concept of the first playable version is going to be ready after this funded Fund 7 project. Is it correct?
Yeah, we have 3 different kinds of prototypes, but the MVP, we target May for that. At the start of this year, we want to have something that we can show off to just see how you would learn languages in this world. Then there's another prototype in between the actual one and then the MVP.
What sort of stories are being based in your game?
It's not clear yet, but we try to make one main story to gather all the different worlds in one. And that's probably that you lost your language and you need to acquire it again. So you start at the very low level and cannot talk with anyone about anything. As you progress through the game, you get better and you get harder content. And at the start, it's really easy. I think that's the main story. You lost your voice and you need to regain it. And really the other stories, that really comes down to the communities and what they want to do and what they want to create. I, for example, had some ideas for having a restaurant mini game where you need to be the waiter and get the right food to the right people and have a good conversation like you would do in a restaurant and not insult them or something, because then you get a lower score. And we have a huge list of level ideas. So, and sandbox games, because it's a sandbox game, they actually live from community-created content. So we cannot say what are these stories yet.
Yeah, it's a reaction, really. I think it really excites me. I love your name, Edutainment. I love it. It's a very good name.
Thank you.
And I really like what you're doing. For me, it's always about the users on the front end of the inventions that are being brought out. And so the inventions are totally fascinating. And what I do is experiment them on the ground with the least likely people to see how that works. And I look forward to using this actually on the ground and giving you feedback on stories that, like Angela is saying, we do need some stories and some voices to plug into this whole ecosystem. And so I look forward to that. So for me, it's just a reaction, really, not a question.
Actually, for me, it's not a question. I just wanted to add on top of that. My name is Evans. I come from Tanzania, and our local language is Swahili. So just in case you need support with Swahili translation or make Swahili stuff, I can be of help.
I definitely come back to you.
Have you actually got kids to play your game and see whether it works as a game? Not just as another way of trying to teach a subject of language, because my kids hate learning the local language because it's extremely difficult and boring for them to learn it. But they are very good at playing games. Like they play Minecraft all day. and another game called Roadblocks, they will very well sniff out and see whether your game is actually a game or whether it's some sort of another boring way of teaching a subject. So what I want to know is, have you actually got kids who will play your game and evaluate it as a game, as actually immersive and entertaining?
Yeah, that's a big problem, and because when you think about game and learning, you often just think about gamified stuff, and then you add a score and you add some reward, but it's not really meaningful, and then that's a game for you. No, it's not.